Hello and welcome to Tricks of the Asteroid channel. Today is the 30th of May 2018, and on today's feature we're featuring two very popular artists that we see a lot. The first happens to be Randy Jackson, alright, and his full name says his name is Randall Darius Jackson, born June 23, 1956. As you can see right there, there's a Vatican code of numbers. If you're interested in the Vatican code of numbers and you heard me say it before, get on the channel and look for the playlist called Vatican Code of Numbers, or look for the Lisa Lopes video. I don't know if it's pronounced Lisa Lopez or Lisa Lopes, but I know it's spelled Lopes. If you're interested in full details, get our book. We'll have all the information on the screen for you to get a book so you can understand everything about the Vatican Code of Numbers and their colors as well. So let's read a little bit into Randy Jackson's official stats here. You can pause the video at any point in time, copy out this link, or just get on your search engine and type in Randy Jackson and read up all his official stats. But let's start by saying that Randall Darius Jackson, born June 23, 1956, an American bassist singer, record producer, entrepreneur, and television personality. Jackson began his career in the 1980s as a session musician playing bass guitar for an era of jazz, pop, rock, and R&B performers. He moved on to work in music production and A&R at Columbia Records and MCA Records. Jackson is best known for his appearances as a judge on American Idol, executive producer of MTV's America's Best Dance Crew. Jackson has won a Grammy Award as a producer. So it goes on to say Jackson was born on June 23, 1915 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the son of Julia, a homemaker, and Herman Jackson, a plant foreman. His first marriage to Elizabeth Jackson, who dissolved in 1990. They had one daughter named Taylor. In 1995, Jackson married Erica Riker, with whom he has two children, a 14-year-old daughter named Zoe and 12-year-old son named Jordan. In 2003, Jackson lost 114 pounds, 52 kg, following gastric bypass surgery. He stated in a February 2008 television commercial that he was a type 2 diabetes. So what we're reading here should be some sort of constructed history that the Vatican puts in front of us to make us believe in Randy Jackson and the way he looks. Because if you've looked at Randy Jackson, you would notice that he has a very weird shape for a man. He has narrow shoulders and very thick in between the midsection, and then all this pound or weight loss, and also the type 2 diabetes, also with this lies that he has children with whosoever he has children with, makes us believe that Randy Jackson is actually male, but he is not, as we'll find out in this particular video. So the next person we're also featuring is will.i.am. One of the things that I've noticed about will.i.am over the years was that he has very eccentric behavior, and I remember watching an interview once about will.i.am, and they asked him about his dating life. Does he have any female friends? Does he date? And will.i.am said that he doesn't date women, and I found that weird, especially for a black male, because like I've talked before, I said it before in a couple of videos, that the one thing black males are known for immediately when they get into some money is that they have a lot of women around them. That's just the truth. That's just pure fact. So for me to hear that will.i.am said that he doesn't date women, he doesn't have time for dating and all that stuff, I would always kind of wonder what's up with will.i.am. And then the eccentric behavior, the way his clothing, the way he talks and everything else, I was just noticing that something was very weird, but I couldn't put a finger on it. It's the same feeling I got when I looked at Floyd Money Mayweather over the years, and like there's something very weird about this man that doesn't just fit right. So we're going to find out today if will.i.am is actually the gender that he portrays or the Vatican wants us to believe. So if you're interested in reading about this stats on will.i.am, you can pause the video at any point in time, copy out this link, or just get on your search engine and type in will.i.am and read up whatever you find here. But first of all, let's start. He says William James Adams Jr., born March 15, 1975. As you can see right there, another Vatican code of numbers is right there. Known professionally as will.i.am, pronounced will.i.am, is an American musician and actor. He's best known as a founding member of the hip-hop group The Black Eyed Peas. will.i.am has also released 4 solo albums. The first, Lost Change. That's a very weird name for an album. Lost Change was released on October 2nd, 2001. A Vatican code of numbers right there again. Through Atlantic Records, and is an original album. The second solo album, Must Be 21. Another Vatican code of numbers is right there on Must Be 21. Was released on September 23. Another Vatican code, 2003. All coded language, because will.i.am is a stooge of the Vatican. Is one of those projects in which the Vatican creates people to rule and run our world and use them to influence us because they're products. All right. So all this is information is in a book. I won't have much time to get into that. So that's why I always tell people, if you're interested in the truth, because I hear a lot of people get on the channel and say they love the truth that we share and everything else. Everything that we share is about 5% of what the whole book tells you. If you're really interested in the truth and knowing the truth, I know that a lot of people might say the book is expensive, but it's not our doing. We don't own any printing press. Get and find out how much it would cost to print a 934 page book in color, and then you can come back and begin to judge us. And we're not going to put the book in PDF also. It's never going to be in PDF. Now, why will the book not be in PDF? This is what you have to understand. The whole idea of having digital records is so that it can be easily be changed at a drop of a hat. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. So when I talk about digital information, I talk about it from a standpoint of being someone who's been in digital media. All right. I grew up around computers. To be honest, the first thing that I ever wanted to be was somebody who was working with computers. And how did I get all this interest? When I was much younger, I watched a movie by James Bond. I don't remember. I watched a James Bond movie rather. I don't quite remember the name of the movie, but I think it was The World Is Not Enough. It had Pierce Brosnan in it. And in that particular movie, the character, what they call, what we'll say, the evil character who was trying to rule the world, had a computer in his hands. It was a very small computer, and he was typing with one hand. So I was so fascinated by that, and I said, okay, if I grow up, I'm going to deal with computers. So, and that's what I did. That's what I did. So I'm talking from a standpoint of somebody who's been in computers and digital media. Now, a lot of people do not understand this. You probably hear all the time that there's a virus on your computer. All right? There's a virus on your computer. You have to have an antivirus for that. And all sorts of bugs on the computers that you need to fix over time, and you guys get some sort of specialized software for all of that. Here's one thing you have to understand: there are no viruses on your computer. The reason why there are viruses is because there is a backdoor into every software that the Vatican has made. Because if you've been on the channel for a long time, you would have seen that we've talked about Apple, Steve Jobs, and we've talked about Microsoft, and we both find out on those particular videos that we made that they were not the gender they claim. So if you're interested in those videos, just get on the channel and look for Who Ate the Apple, the Real President's Part Number 1, and also look for the other video called I think the name is Small Soft Bills and Window Gates, in which we show you exclusively that Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and even the current CEO of Apple are not the gender they claim, because they are all Vatican stooges. So everything that we use digitally is being created by the Vatican. All right. So like going back to what I was saying, there are no viruses. So the best way I can explain this so you guys can understand it in very simple terms is this: if you build a house with no doors, there is no way that somebody can get into that house. So let's just say, typically, for example, you decided to build a house, all right, and you build it without no doors and no windows, right? And you covered the whole thing up. How is someone going to get in there? They can't. So every software that has been designed, everything that we use has a backdoor. So it's very, very simple, because when you're creating software, I'm talking from a point of somebody who creates software, all right, who's worked with programs. When you create a program, and you're creating a program and you don't know what you want the program to do, or you think you have something that you're going to add onto the program, what you do is create what they call in object-oriented programming open classes. Open classes means, the word that it means, it's open. That means you can get into that class and code it. You're leaving a backdoor open. Then there's another way you can leave a backdoor open in a program. For example, you can set an object variable, all right, as true or false? I know I'm talking a lot of, programming code here, but those who understand programming can understand what I'm saying. True or false means, for example, let's say the true or false means, for example, that you have a door in the program, all right? And you say, and you set that door to be either closed or open, right? So when you keep the door open, what you're leaving room for is so that you can attach some additional instructions based on the variable that you have set that that door is open. So when viruses get into your laptop, your computer, or anything that you use, is because a back door has been left open, all right, and additional instructions have been added that can be attached to corrupt that program. So the Vatican has set backdoors on all software that you're using. It doesn't matter. As long as you did not create that software, there's a backdoor for it. Now, why is that necessary? Because sometimes the programmers might need to get into the program and add some more instructions, or the Vatican is doing it deliberately so that in the future they can get into every computer and shut it down. So that's why we tell you that you should get the book. We're not just trying to sell you a book. You can save towards it because we believe it's the only history that we have left. So anything digitally can be corrupted. So let me give you a typical example of this digital corruption, or how at the drop of a hat everything can be changed digitally, or just give you an example of how what it means for a computer program to be secure. Now, over the years, I think over a past couple of years, when people started using cell phones and digital cell phones, there was a company that came out with which had very secure cell phones. There was no backdoor, because when they created that software, they made sure that there were no backdoors for you to get into it to corrupt the software or attach viruses to it. That means additional instructions on the open doors that you leave in the program. That software company was called BlackBerry. A lot of people loved the BlackBerry phones because it was very secure. Because like I said before, if you build a house with no doors and no windows, there is no way that anybody can get into it. So that's what BlackBerry did. BlackBerry built a very secure software operating system for phones. Now, the Vatican over the years started, because a lot of the people started using BlackBerry, and the Vatican looked at it. Okay, this BlackBerry phones that we've allowed some of our, people out here to create is way too secure. If the whole public keeps on buying BlackBerry phones, sooner or later in the future, when we're trying to maybe corrupt it, so that all the information they have is lost, or steal some information, or make them believe in this global fear of digital corruption through viruses and online security threats, it's going to be impossible because the BlackBerry platform is very secure. So when that happened, the Vatican started, all right, giving us propaganda and lies on BlackBerry that BlackBerry wasn't selling. We started having difficulty to get maybe BlackBerry parts and everything else because they control all this. And sooner or later, BlackBerry has died out. So people no longer use BlackBerry anymore, and they've now switched us all over to either Android or Apple, which is very, very, let's say very, very open. It's very vulnerable to attack because they have open doors left, so they can attach instructions and send viruses and corrupt the information that you have digitally. I've talked about this on several videos. Every hard drive, and then secondly, if you're saving information to a drive, every drive has what they call a read cycle, the number of cycles that you can retrieve information from that hard drive. Some of them might have up to 5 million read cycles, 200 million, a billion, depending on how they create it. So that means after you've interacted with that hard drive and read information from that hard drive, and you've surpassed the number of cycles which it was created, that hard drive will shut down and be unusable. So when you think that you have digital information stored somewhere very safely, you are actually thinking in the wrong direction, because sooner or later is going to get corrupted. And then, based on the fact that every program that we use, which the Vatican has designed for us, has a back door open so that they can attach additional information or maybe send additional instructions to corrupt it if they so deem fit, all that information is going to be gone. So that's why, for example, when you study your Bible, God is a very wise God. He wrote the instructions that he wanted to give to Moses and the woolly haired children of Israel on stone tablets. Because if you try to make a correction on a stone tablet, just that's something the Egyptians also did, you would find out that you would make the corruption and people would notice that you made something else additional to what was already written there. So you can corrupt information that is written in a hard copy format. You would need to destroy that version. That means, for example, what happened when Moses, all right, came down, all right, from the mountain in which he was talking with God, and God gave him all these instructions, the commandments and the statutes and the ordinances and everything else. And when Moses came down, or the right pronunciation would be Moshe, when Moshe came down and found out that the children of Israel were worshiping a calf as a god, he threw all those thrones down and he broke right there and then. And then he had to go back and God had to write out another one. So that's what happens when you have information in a hard copy format. If you're trying to make correction, you have to destroy the old format and create new one, because if you tamper with it, someone's going to know that you tampered with it. So that's why a lot of the information that we have in Egypt today, we can see and know for sure that the Egyptians were black woolly haired people and were not albino or straight haired as the Vatican wants us to believe they are through movies, which is digital, right? Movies are digitally made. They are not on any hard copy format. So they could switch that information and make you believe that the Egyptians were albino or had straight hair when they were actually black woolly haired people. See that? So if you trust in digital copies and digital information that you're storing or that you're using, you're looking at the wrong thing. You won't have it sooner or later. So that's why we put this in a book for you. Save towards it and get the book. So because we believe it's the only real history that we have left in this world. We mince no words about it. We're not saying it out of being braggadocious. We're not saying it out of being proud or anything. We're saying that with all amount of humility. We believe that it's a service to humanity for those who seek the truth. So please get the book. We're not just trying to sell you a book. All right? Okay, so let's move on, because there are some few things I also want to talk about on this video. And one of the things I want to talk about on the video today as well is called How to Believe Right. Now, why do I say that? A lot of people, especially those who study the Bible, always have this concept of, believing that they are called into ministry or they are called to do some sort of work. And they go around telling people that they were called by God and everything else. So we want to clear up that delusion today, for them to understand that since Yehoshua, that the only people that were ever called into ministry to do the works that God asked them to do by the grace of Yehoshua were the apostles in the Bible, the so-called 12 disciples, all right, including Paul the apostle. They were called physically. There is no calling in today's world. All that nonsense of people saying that they are called is because the Vatican has made us to believe that there is another calling after Yehoshua called the apostles and Apostle Paul physically. Now, what does that mean physically? When they were called, when the apostles were called, Yehoshua walked up to them and touched them with their hands. They were physical. It was not something that they mentally alluded to or esoteric in their minds. It wasn't a dream as you sleep at night and you dream dreams. It was a physical call, like you would walk up to your son or walk up to your daughter, your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, a friend, or whosoever it is, and you touch them on the hand and say, come here, let's talk. That is how the apostles were called. So for anybody today to say that they are called into ministry, called to preach the gospel or something one way or the other, you're suffering from a delusion. Or you are called to a dream, or not a person who you regard as somebody very high up in the so-called fake Christian religion called you. You are suffering from a delusion. The only thing that we are called to do today, is to accept Yehoshua as God. We're not called into ministry. God says, receive Yehoshua. That's what he's saying. So there's nobody who's called into ministry to have lordship over you, because the Christian religion is a fake religion. When you read the book of Revelations, in which Yehoshua says the synagogue of Satan, he's talking about the church, the organized church buildings that you go to worship God within four walls, which has a name and has a pastor who sits over you. You're going to the synagogue of Satan. I'm not going to have too much time to explain all that information. When you get a book, you'll get that firm understanding, because we explain it point by point so you see it. Okay, so when you go to a church, you're going to the synagogue of Satan. So we want to clear up that illusion so people can understand, because a lot of people get confused. Okay, for example, a lot of people believe that for example, that the Islam religion is a true religion because Muhammad said that he was called. All right, but there has been no calling after the apostles. Same with such a religion as called Mormonism, the Church of the Latter-day Saints. All right, in which John Smith said that he got his revelation by an angel. There has been no revelation to anybody outside the people that were called by the apostles. That's it. So if Yehoshua didn't call you, and the apostles who were given rights to call other people did not call you, you're suffering a delusion. All you need to do is study your Geneva Bible and receive Yehoshua as your God, and that's it. So let me get into that explanation so you guys can have a perfect understanding, because I want people to understand things correctly and not get into an illusion. Because the reason is, a lot of people come up to you and tell you lies, and they tell you that they are called into ministry, and you believe it because you have not studied your Bible, and you get into so many false religions, all right, because you do not understand what the Bible says. So that's what we want to try to clear up on this particular video, so people can have a firm understanding of that. So let's go. So let's show you how to know a fake religion, because if you really want to know about the origins, you want to know about God, and you want to know about the truth, you can trust your Bible, especially the Geneva Bible and the King James Version. Now, what you're looking at right here is a web page on the Book of Mormon, from which we have the Church of the Latter-day Saints, which a lot of people go to and are being deceived daily because they don't understand the truth of the Geneva Bible, which they've never picked up to read, or even the King James Bible as well. So you can pause the video at any point in time, copy out the link right there, and read along with us. And I want you to notice some specific things. The Church of Latter-day Saints was created by the white, or what we call the albino elite in the Vatican today. All right, when we say albino, because a lot of people hear that and don't understand what it means. Okay, when you say you are white, white is not in reference to any color, because there is no color in this world that is white. White is an absence of all color. That's why when you start painting, if you're drawing a painting, you start with a white background, because it's an absence of all color, or an off-white background, so you can add color to it. There is nobody as white as my screen right here, in which I'm hovering my mouse over. There is nobody that has this kind of color. The word white comes from the Latin word albus, which means a lack of melanin, which everybody with straight hair does have. And when we hear melanin, a lot of people think about the melanin is just in reference to the color of your skin. The melanin that makes you come out albino is internal. It's not what you see on your skin, because there are some people who have straight hair and have very dark skin. That does not make them not to be an albino. The presence of the melanin that we're talking about here is the one that's internal. Internal mostly to your central nervous system and brain. And the term and the type of melanin that they use to differentiate people who are suffering from a lack of melanin, the name given to that type of melanin is called eumelanin. Eumelanin, it's spelled EUMELANIN. So when you say you're white or you have straight hair, what you are saying is that you're an albino. It has no reference to a color. The albino elite in the Vatican today, instead of using the word albus to designate people who have straight hair, use the word white, because albus or being albinic strongly denotes a genetic abnormality. So they didn't want to put that on themselves because they wanted to paint themselves as the superior class of beings over woolly haired people. So they termed it white instead of albus, from where the word comes from, a Latin word which means a lack of melanin. So that goes to show you that the albino elites who tell you lies and show you through movies that they were the Romans could not have been the Romans, because the Latin word albus comes from the Romans. Why would the Romans have called themselves albus if they were white, as they want us to believe? It's not possible, because the Romans were all dark, woolly haired people who had hair like the so-called West Africans that you find in West Africa today. So when you say you're white, what you're saying is you're an albino. So I want you to have that understanding. If you want to know more, get a book or get on the channel and watch The Myth of Whiteness. Alright? And it's a 15-part series, but it will do you a whole world of good to watch that. So you understand that the people who are actually running the world are not running the world because they like you if you're white or you have straight hair. They're not doing you a favor, but making you feel that you're superior. They're actually doing you a disservice, because all what they're doing is trying to keep themselves in power. Because they understand that without uniting everybody who has straight hair together to do what they want them to do, that they are going to be bred out. What does that mean? Every time someone who is white or has straight hair reproduces with someone that's black with woolly hair, the children come out black. You've probably heard of the one drop rule, that one drop of black makes you black, right? That is what happens if the father or mother, one of the parents who is reproducing with somebody who has straight hair, does not have any recessive genetic traits of albinism. The children come out black. So the white albino elite, as we call them, the albino elite, need racism. They need the myth of white supremacy to make white people feel superior, so that they do not reproduce with the woolly haired people which they have made to be the inferior. Because when that happens, you're going to have more population. Even though the world already is 3/4 black, you're going to have more reduced people with straight hair in the world, and the albino elites cannot remain in power because the majority will always be the ones in power. So they need a population, they need a sizable population to keep them in power. And that's all what they're doing through the myth of white supremacy and racism which they run. Okay, for all that information, please watch a Myth of Whiteness series and get a book for a more comprehensive view of what we're talking about. So getting back to the Book of Mormon here and explaining that the albino elites created this religion, It talks about Joseph Smith. So we're going to read some few things about Joseph Smith. It says, the Book of Mormon is the sacred text of the Latter-day Saint movement, which adherents believe contains writings and ancient prophets who lived in the American continent from approximately 2200 BC to 8421. It was first published in March 1830. You can see the Vatican Code of Numbers is right there. By Joseph Smith as the Book of Mormon, and accounts written by the hand of Mormon upon plates taken from the plates of Nephi. Alright, so according to Smith's account and the book's narrative, the Book of Mormon was originally written in otherwise unknown characters referred to as Reformed Egyptian, engraved on golden plates. Smith said that the last prophet to contribute to the book, a man named Moroni, buried it in Cumorah Hill in present-day New York, then returned to Earth in 1827 as an angel, revealing the location of the plates to Smith and instructing him to translate into English for the use in the restoration of Christ Church in the Latter-day Critics. So that is the point that I want you to take notice of. It says that an angel revealed the location of the plates to John Smith. I want you to pay specific attention to that part, because I want you to remember it, that the basis of the Mormon religion is based on the fact that an angel revealed the location of text to John Smith. All right? Okay. So let's go over to another religion, that's Islam. All right? And read about what happened. Now, Islam was created by the woolly head Vatican, because a lot of people don't understand. That's why history is very, very confusing. When they think about the Vatican, they think that they've always been in the, albinic and straight hair people that we find them today as the leaders. But the Vatican started out black with woolly hair until the late 1400s, in which the albino elite who came in from Asia and who can trace their origins to the generals of Genghis Khan, and Genghis Khan himself overtook a lot of Asia and overtook Europe and a little bit of North Africa. And that's why all those places today have straight hair and albinic skin, because they all came from Asia. Anybody that's white or has straight hair outside of Asia, all right, has Asiatic blood or is an Asian themselves. So anybody around the world that you find that has straight hair, all right, has mixed with with people who came in from Asia. Because when Genghis Khan overtook a whole lot of Asia and Europe and a little bit of North Africa, he instructed his generals to go into all the world and conquer the world, because it's the one thing that he did not do. So those generals and those people, when they got into the Vatican, they now went around the world and started, overtaking a lot of woolly haired people around the world. So everybody that has pale skin and straight hair today has some Asiatic blood, because one of those generals got into that country and used racism. They they killed a lot of the black males, as you will find that in most of the pictures that you see of slavery, the males are always in chain, because they killed the males, raped the women, and when they raped the women, they changed their genetic constitution from being woolly haired over 2 generations to straight hair and pale skin. And we can now believe that the people that we see that have straight hair and pale skin have always been aboriginal to those places, not knowing that they have been changed during the 1400s, and all these things started during the late 1400s. Okay, so that is what happened, because inbreeding as a culture only existed in Asia, and is the reason for people coming out with straight hair and pale skin. Inbreeding meaning that siblings are procreating, the whole family unit is procreating among themselves and not marrying outside, or not marrying and not bringing anybody out, not bringing anybody inside into the family that's an external member. So inbreeding is what causes is what the woolly haired people of Asia did, that now gave birth to children that had straight hair and pale skin. For more of that information, please get on the channel, look for the Myth of Whiteness series playlist, or get our book. and get that full understanding, because we don't have time to explain that too much in here. But we're just giving you a background of what we're trying to talk about so you can understand that the Vatican was not always made of people with straight hair and albanic skin as we see today. The Vatican started out, the people who created the Vatican were actually the woolly haired Romans, all right, which ran all the countries of Europe, because people don't even understand that Europeans are Africans. That's the best way I can put it. But going back into this, we're trying to make you understand that the people who created Islam was the woolly haired Vatican, because they were trying to get Jerusalem to be the headquarters. Now, if you remember throughout history, the Romans were trying to always rule Israel, and they always had a problem with ruling Israel. And they still do. So when the Romans got, wiped away over history, now replaced by the albinos from Asia, who now run the world through the Vatican, they still have the same plan of getting Israel. Why is that? Because the devil runs the Vatican. He wants the Vatican to be in Jerusalem so that the whole world can be deceived into believing that he is God. All right? That's all what this is all about. So the woolly-haired Europeans created Vatican and then created Islam because they were trying to run the Arabs, to use the Arabs to get Jerusalem, because the Arabs, which are constituents of people, let's say, because the Arab ethnicities include all the people from, let's say, Persia, olden days Persia, not the modern day, because the modern day Persians are actually impostors from Asia. They're not the real Persians. Persians have always been black woolly haired people because they are Arabians from the lineage of the children of Ishmael, one of the sons of Abraham. That's just the way it is. They've always been Africans. So the woolly haired Vatican created Islam to run the Arabs, to give them Jerusalem, but that hasn't gone according to plan, and it's still not going according to plan even now with the white or albino Vatican that's running the Vatican. So, but let's get back into what we're trying to talk about here with Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, on which Islam is based. So I'm going to start reading. You could pause the video at any point in time, copy out this link, or just get in your search engine and just type in, Prophet Muhammad of Islam. It says, born in approximately 570 CE, year of the elephant, in the Arabian city of Mecca, Muhammad was orphaned at an early age. He was raised under the care of his paternal uncle Abu Talib and Abu Talib's wife Fatima bint Asad. Periodically, he would seclude himself in a mountain cave named Hira for several nights of prayer. Later, at age 40, he reported being visited by Gabriel in the cave, where he stated he received his first revelation from God. All right. So Gabriel here is an angel. So I want you guys to remember that. So both these religions have revelations made by an angel. The Church of the Latter-day Saints right here, and Muhammad himself right here as well, all had revelations of the religion that they're now offering to the world, which is all controlled by the Vatican through an angel. So now let's get back into the Bible to make you understand that the Bible makes us understand that anybody, all right, that preaches a different gospel to you, because the Church of Latter-day Saints preach the gospel as well as Muhammad, because Muhammad always talks about the so-called Jesus Christ in so many of his writings, okay? They always preach the gospel to you in one way or the other. But the Bible makes us understand that you should not believe in anybody who tells you that an angel revealed the gospel to them. Because all through history, after Yehoshua came, the only people who preached the gospel were men, and they had no revelations, like I talked about before, that the only people that were called into ministry to preach the gospel were the apostles, We are not called into ministry to preach the gospel. We are called to receive. There's a difference. Accept Yehoshua as God, not preach. Accept, not preach, accept. So anybody who's usurping authority over you and telling you that he's preaching the gospel, that he got a revelation, or that he was, he got a revelation from an angel, a spirit, or he dreamt about it, is telling you a false lie and is most likely using a demon, all right, to preach the gospel to you, because the Bible does make us understand that the devil now is an angel of light. That means the devil is going around preaching the gospel, which is what is happening in all organized church buildings around the world. It's the devil preaching from the pulpit. It's demonically influenced. So let's get here into the Bible so you can understand this truth, because a lot of people don't study to see the truth. So I'm reading from Galatians chapter number 1, and I'm reading from verse 8 right here. So you could pause the video. I'm reading from Bible Getaway, but you can just pick out your Bible, the Geneva Bible especially, or the King James Bible. It's going to be the same thing, and read this particular verse, all right? From Galatians chapter number 1, I'm reading from verse 8. It says, "But though that we or an angel from heaven preach unto you otherwise that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed." So the word here is angel. So that means if you ever get into a position in which you believe that an angel is telling you to go do something or revealing something to you, you should know that it is not an angel, it is a demon. Because people don't understand this. After Yehoshua came, all right, an angel can no longer preach the gospel or send a message to you. You can only hear that gospel from a man. If a man tells you that an angel preached unto him, or he got his revelation through an angel, that means he's telling you a lie also, as the Bible says here. So as you read, it says, "But though that we or an angel from heaven preach unto you otherwise that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed." What does it mean to be accursed? Let's look at the English language to see the meaning of accursed. You can pause the video at any point in time, copy out this link. It says, accursed means to be under a curse, doomed, ill-fated, damnable, detestable. So all these words are signed to the fact that if anybody preaches to you, if any angel preaches to you, let that person be doomed, ill-fated, damnable, detestable. So nobody is called into ministry today. So if somebody usurps authority over you and tells you that an angel preached the gospel, or he got his revelation by an angel or a spirit or whatsoever, you should be very, very careful. You should actually, like the Bible says here, doom that person. Tell him, woe unto him for telling you lies. That's the way you ought to be. So, like I said before, nobody is called into ministry. We are only called to receive Yehoshua. We are not called to preach. We are called to receive. There's a difference. So that's why you do not need to get into any church building, organized church building, to believe in God. All you need is your Geneva Bible or your King James Bible, and that's it. Read it. The Bible is literal. You pray to God in your own room. You kneel down and pray to him in the name of Yehoshua. He will hear you. You don't need to go to any so-called fake men of Christianity to hear them tell you anything. Everything you need is in your Bible. And that's just that. So any gospel preached to you by an angel, as you can see here, as the Bible says, "But though that we or an angel from heaven preach unto you otherwise than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed," is fake. So that's why you can be sure that all these religions, for example, the religions of the Church of the Latter-day Saints and the religion of Islam, is fake, which is going to hurt a lot of people's ears from them to hear me say that, but which is the truth according to the Bible, is because all these revelations of Islam and the Church of Latter-day Saints, all constructions of the Vatican were preached by an angel according to their prophets to them. And the Bible does tell us that if anybody of any angel preaches to you this gospel, you should know that it's fake, and you should curse that kind of gospel. Let it be accursed and let it be doomable. So that's the information I wanted to let you know. So let's switch gears now and get on to talking about and get into the transvestigation of Randy Jackson and will.i.am. Let's go. So if it's your first time on our channel and you've watched this video up to this point in time, I would advise that you pause the video right here and go look for the primer video first, and that's what you're looking at on my screen. If it's your first time on our channel and you do not watch the primer video, which is the most important video that you have to watch, a lot of the things that I'm saying is not going to make any sense to you at all. You will have a basic foundation to watching all the other videos that we make, because our channel is dedicated to educating you to understand your world, understand how all the puzzles fit in together. So if it's your first time on our channel and you want to continue watching this video from this particular point, please pause the video and go look for the primer video. And this is what I'm hovering my mouse right over. The primer video will be the oldest video that we have on this channel. It also has a playlist which contains 3 other videos, which is very, very important that you should watch and get a firm and basic understanding of what we're talking about, so you can watch the videos and understand more. All right, so please do that, and then you can come back and continue watching this video. And also, with every video that we have on this channel, there's a link in the description section. For the first time subscribers, I'm hovering my mouse right over that link. When you click on this link, it's going to take you to a document. The document is called Male versus Female Visual Differences. We advise that you download this document and you study it for your own, and you can also pass it on to other people so they can study it. This document is going to give you the visual differences between male and female based on the secondary female and male characteristics, as well as the primary characteristics, which lies in the skeletal structure. Primary characteristics means that our skeletal structures are designed a certain way. So for example, the female skeletal structure is designed to give birth. Why is that so? Because God made the woman to assist in reproduction. So that's why the female skeletal structure is designed to give birth. So because of that design, a female has hips below her crotch, an arch in her back, and a pelvis that's tilted forward so that she can carry children to full term. All right, so that's why on our channel, when you come up and you make you label someone a transgender without providing, all right, links of pictures showing that the person has or does not have the female skeletal structure, we are going to add your comments to spam, and you won't be able to leave any other comments on here, because we deal with facts. Because this is how from dead remains of bones, we are able to identify the sex of someone, because sex is determined by the skeletal structure and not the genitalia. The primary identification for the sex of anybody is based on the skeletal structure. So you have to provide your links of pictures, because a lot of people think that we identify sex based on the secondary male or female characteristics. But what they do not put into consideration is the fact that we do not live in a perfect world. Why do we not live in a perfect world? There are poisons in our food, poisons in the water, poisons in the clothing, poisons in the air. Because the albino elite who lead from the Vatican are deliberately poisoning us to make us weak. And because of all these poisons that we're taking in, it's making that the secondary female and male characteristics do not line up anymore. And we have such terms as what they call unisex. So why is that the case? So for example, a woman is supposed to look like a woman and be shaped like a woman, even though her skeletal structure is always going to remain female. That means she has hips below her crotch, an arch in the back, a pelvis tilted forward, and a wide pubic arch necessary for childbirth. But because of all the hormones that we take, the secondary characteristics, which happens to do with, like, you know, the skin of a woman being softer, a woman having more fat on her body, a woman speaking with a feminine voice, a woman not growing an Adam's apple and just looking like a woman should normally do, is not happening because of all the hormones and the poisons that we are fed. So for example, you find out that females now have their shoulders that are wider than their hips. All right. Females then have facial hair. They even grow hair in their chest. Their skin is not as soft as it should be. It's drier and could even be thick as that of a man's skin. A female can now have, a very large Adam's apple. All the secondary female characteristics have been thrown out because of all the hormones and poisons that we are fed day in and night. So that's why you have to base your decision on someone's gender based on the primary difference, the skeletal structure, which is what we do on this channel. And we also advise that you do the same, because if you go off all the secondary characteristics and says, oh, she looks mannish, she has long arms, she has a long torso, she has an Adonis belt, she has an Adam's apple, she has a square jawline, she has a slanting forehead, and all those things we can be changed deliberately through surgery as well. And you say this is the reason why someone is a transgender or a mutilated person, as we would like to put it, because that's the right word, because there is no such thing as a transgender. You can't cross from one gender to the other, because you can't change the skeletal structure. Because no matter what you're doing, it's only going to change the water content, it's going to change the fat content, it's going to change the muscle content, but you can't change the skeletal structure, because that's the primary basis on which sex is based on, and nothing can change the skeletal structure once it's determined at conception. So that's why you have to provide your links of pictures based on the primary difference, because a woman is designed to give birth and a man is not, and that is what differentiates the sexes. So let's get into this document so we can carry on. So a female has an arch in the back. And why does a woman have an arch in the back? Well, the female's pelvis is tilted forward. That's number one. And why is it tilted forward? It's tilted forward so that the baby can stay inside the womb for the 9 months of conception that the baby goes through before he or she is born into this world. And also the arch in the female's back is because so that she can have, a proper weight of distribution across the body, so she doesn't hurt herself or hurt the baby while working or walking. So that's why a female has an arch in the back. So depending on where you draw the arch from, if you draw it from below the shoulder blades, it's going to form a deep C arch in the back before it gets in the pelvis. If you draw it from high above the shoulder blades, it's going to form an S-shaped arch in the back. So I want you to remember those two letters at all times. A female has an S or a C-shaped back. All right. Now for males do not get pregnant. So a man's pelvis is not tilted forward. A man has a straight up and down pelvis. If a man's back wants to arch, it's going to arch into the shape of a D or a P and go straight into the pelvis. So a man's back is always straight or shaped like a D or a P and straight pelvis with no arch. So I want you to remember those two letters for a male. A man has a D-shaped back or a P-shaped back or a straight back into the pelvis. We scroll further into the document just to show you that a female's back will always arch more. As you can see right here is a woman kneeling down. She has this deep C arch in the back because her pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter what size the female comes in, if she's big, tall, or small, she's heavy, she's thick, whatever name you want to give to the female body. A female always has a deep C arch in the back. A big female to the left of her screen, arch in the back, and the pelvis is tilted forward. A small female to the right, arch in the back, and the pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter if the female's got muscles, she's taking steroids, she's working out really hard and developing all these good muscles, because a lot of mutilated males who think that they are female can always, a lot of mutilated females who actually think that they could be males could actually take drugs to build muscles and be like a man, but nothing can change the skeletal structure. As you see right here, there is a muscular female, she still has an arch in the back and her pelvis is tilted forward. Another muscular female, there is still an arch in the back and her pelvis is tilted forward. So nothing can change that skeletal structure. So let's go over and play the clip just to show you where the location of the female's hip is at, because a lot of people suffer from the confusion which the Vatican has spread to a lot of us around the world, that there is such a thing as a shoulder to hip ratio that makes you a female. You probably hear that on a lot of channels, that if a woman's shoulders are wider than her hips, all right, that means that she's male. But no. The location of the female hip is below the crotch. That's what makes you female. It doesn't matter if your shoulders are wider. A wide shoulders cannot make you male. It's the location of your hips. It's below the crotch. So that means if you're female and you find out that your hips are above the crotch, like a man, that means you were born male and somebody played around with you and did some sort of surgery to you, dressed you up in female clothes, took you to a female school and made you act female, but you're actually male. There is no woman in the world in which her hips are above the crotch. It is always going to be below the crotch. The hips might be narrower, she might have small hips, but the location is always going to be below the crotch. So as you can see, here is a regular female and they're trying to fit this woman into clothes rather. So what happens is, like with a regular female, if you notice, if you put your arms around your elbow, you start noticing that you start getting wider. And the widest point in your body will always be your hips, which is below the crotch. And also one thing you should notice is that all this from the waist down, because the female waist is above the navel, from the waist down to these hips is all butt area for a female, because this is where the pelvis starts, getting tilted forward from above the navel. Okay, so this is how a regular woman looks. A regular woman, meaning it doesn't mean that if you're a female and your shoulders are wider than your hips, you're not a regular woman. I'm just using this to explain what we should be looking at when we're looking at a woman. That's all I'm trying to explain here. With a regular female, she starts spreading from below her elbows, and the widest point will always be her hips, which is always below the crotch. So I play this video so you guys can see that, because it's how females are fitted into clothes, pants, whatever they wear, dresses. The location of the hip always has to be known, and it's always going to be below the crotch, because this is how all female clothes are sewn around the world and shipped to many different countries. And those clothes fit because the location of the female hip is known to be below the crotch. If females had varying degrees and places for their hips, those clothes sewn around the world and taken to many different countries would not fit, and a lot of the designers and a lot of the clothes would be having problems. But they don't have any of those problems because they know the location of the female hip is below the crotch. And also, a female has a very acute Q angle. The Q angle is the angle between the hip and the knee. And for females, it starts below the crotch. Now, why is the female hip below the crotch? The female hip is below the crotch so then the hips can be out of the way for the baby who's inside here to come out. All right? And also, a female has a wider pubic arch. Because of that wider pubic arch, everything in the pelvis of a female is farther apart, and so the hips are farther apart, giving this female the acute Q angle and the hourglass figure that women are known for. So this female is going to turn around so you can see from the back the location of that hip from the back. And for every woman, the location of the hip is slightly above the bum line, slightly above it. So if you find out, if you're trying to ascertain the gender of someone, and you look and you see that the Q angle is farther up away from this bum line, then you should know that that person is a male and not a female. So because when you look from the back, if you have difficulty trying to ascertain the gender of someone from the front, when you look from the back, anytime you look at somebody from the back, you're in the store, you're walking, you can tell immediately that someone is either male or female because of how acute the Q angle is. Because the Q angles for all females starts below the crotch, right? And for males, it starts above the crotch. So if this person was male, this Q angle or this hip will be farther up away from this bum line, showing you that person is male. Alright, so let's get into the transvestigation of both Randy Jackson and will.i.am. Before we get into the transvestigation of Randy Jackson and will.i.am, I just want to let you guys know that if you've been watching this channel for maybe the past couple of months and up to a year right now, that this channel will eventually go down because the Vatican, the albino elite who run the world through the Vatican, do not want you guys to know the truth. Alright, and they're hard at work as much as possible to shut this channel down. So that's why we've put all the information that we have in the book, and we're working on our website so that when the website goes eventually on, you guys can always have all the information that you need, because on this channel we report the real news and not the fake news that everybody's accustomed to, just like Donald Trump said, even though Donald Trump is a stooge of the Vatican as well. So on this particular channel, the Vatican has landed so many strikes on account. Like right here, this landed a strike on the Real Gender Not Transgender or Transsexual series part number 4. And the reason they said they landed a strike, they said we were harassing and bullying people. But we don't harass or bully anybody. We just tell you the truth as it is, 100% raw, unfiltered truth. Now, the whole reason why they landed the strike on this particular video is not because of anything that has to do with harassing and bullying, because we do not bully anybody at all. All they did is because on that particular video, we mentioned the fact that the Las Vegas shooting was a hoax, and it was used by the Vatican to create some sort of law to prevent people from having a bump stock. A bump stock turns a rifle into or gun into a semi-automatic or automatic weapon from just a manual, or let's say a regular handheld weapon. So that's what a bump stock does. And that Las Vegas shooting was done because they're trying as much as possible to take away the Second Amendment away from us, because they did not write it. The Second Amendment was created by the woolly head presidents today, which are labeled white. All the presidents that existed before Abraham Lincoln were all black with woolly hair. If you want to get into more of that information, we have a series called The Real Presidents. So get on the channel and look for the playlist called The Real Presidents. So they landed the strike on account because of us trying to let the public know that this is all managed and staged to take away the Second Amendment and take away the right of people having weapons, especially people using bump stocks to change their normal regular weapons into a semi-automatic or automatic rifle. They also landed on a strike on account previously for the Selena Q video, in which we made people to realize that Selena Q was not the gender that she had claimed, that she was, an imposter and had been telling so many people lies, especially those of the Hispanic community, because Selena Q was never female in any way. So they landed a strike on account and said that we had nudity and sexual content in that video. But if you've watched all our videos, we don't have anything as nudity or sexual content on our videos. We just have the raw truth. If you're interested in the Selena Q video, please look for the video on the channel called Bono. Who is Bono video? It will give you instructions on how to watch that. So because of this, we're putting all this information in a book, because they can shut the channel down, they can shut the truth down, they can do whatever they want to do, but they cannot shut down a book. So it's very, very important that you get our book. If you're interested in real history and you want to know where this world is going and whatever that's happening, the raw truth, because we've put as much information as we can in a book. It's 934 pages, so you understand your world. We leave all the information on how to get the book, our contact information on the screen, and copy it out. Send us an email if you don't get an email, and because we usually try to respond to every email under 48 hours. If you don't get a response in 48 hours, you can go ahead and send us a text message, and we'll respond through a text. Do not try to call us, because the phone has not been designed to receive any calls, because we don't have a call center, and being on the team, each person has to maybe at one point in time carry the phone just to answer text messages. So that's just the way it works. It's like a central hub, all right, for the text message. It's not like a real it's a phone per se, but it's the text message are distributed centrally. That's the best way I can put it. So depending on whosoever gets into response to the text message, or whoever gets the response first, then the person responds. So send us an email. If you don't get any message back from us, then send us a text message, and we'll try as much as possible to respond to that as quickly as we can. So get our book so you know your history and know your world. So with that, let's get into the transvestigation of will.i.am and Randy Jackson and get this video over with. And here is Randy Jackson right here. As you can see, Randy Jackson is shaped like a female should, shaped in the form of an A from top to bottom, excluding the legs, because female have an A line. That means they're narrow at the shoulders and their hips are below the crotch, as you can see here that Randy Jackson has an acute Q angle. Now, a lot of the stories we hear about Randy Jackson is like we hear he's gay. You've heard that kind of rumors and all that kind of stuff. It's because most people in Hollywood, let me say not most people. Let me use the right word. Some people in Hollywood actually mutilated females, as Randy Jackson is. And so they still have the female tendency, even though they look like a man when you look at them facially, to go after males. And so when you see that, you think there are two homosexual people, not understanding that it's actually a heterosexual with one acting like a man in the case of Randy Jackson here. So that's why Randy Jackson has always looked weird, because Randy Jackson is actually female. You can tell from the whole body structure, the hourglass figure, and the cute Q angle below the crotch, because Randy Jackson is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to the next picture. Here's Randy Jackson, and here we featured Steven Tyler right over here. And I want you guys to notice the difference between the male and the female bodies here. Let me try to blow this up. As you can see right here, Randy Jackson's navel is far into the torso of the body, almost at the halfway point of the body. When you draw this line right here down to the acute Q angle that Randy Jackson has below the crotch, you can actually see that that's a female body, because it's the navel right here is deep inside the torso of the body. While with this man right here, as you can tell, the length, if you want to draw a line from his navel right here to his belt, you would see that it's a shorter distance, while that of Randy Jackson all the way down is longer, because this is a female pelvic region and this is a male pelvic region. If you draw a line across a man's navel, that line is going to be at 3/4 the length of the torso of the body from his shoulders down here, will be at the 3/4 length in the torso of the body. For females, it's going to be at the halfway length from the torso of the body inside the navel. It's the same thing with Steven Tyler right here, which I've already featured on one of our videos, because Steven Tyler is also female. The navel is way too far into the torso of the body, and it's not set as low as this male right here, because both Randy Jackson and Steven Tyler, which we've already featured, are 100% female and not male in any way. So let's get to the next picture. And here is Randy Jackson with Mariah Carey. We already featured I think this was, what's the name of this fella? Let me get the name of this fella right here so I can say it. The name of the fella is Keith Urban. We've already featured Keith Urban on one of our videos, because Keith Urban is also female as well as Randy Jackson, and you can tell from the cute Q angle right here and Randy Jackson's hips that he has the same hips as Mariah Carey and as Nicki Minaj, because Randy Jackson is 100% woman and not a man in any way. She has the same hip structure with Mariah Carey and Nicki Minaj, who are both females. So Randy Jackson right there, as you can tell, follow my mouse, a cute Q angle below the crotch, 100% female and not a man. Let's get into the next picture of Randy Jackson. Again, the same thing happens here again. A cute Q angle is below the crotch, spreading like a female should do under the elbows, as you can notice, even with the clothing, that he starts getting wider, because it's not actually he, it's actually she, because Randy Jackson is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to the next picture. Did I move too fast? Okay, here's the next picture right here. Even though this one is small, let me see if I can blow this up as much as I can, because the Vatican is always hiding stuff when they see that it's going to get cut. But you can still see this acute Q angle of Randy Jackson below the crotch, because Randy Jackson is 100% female and not a man in any way. Acute Q angle below the crotch. Randy Jackson, woman, all woman, masquerading as a man. Here's Randy Jackson with Kanye West. So that's why you can make any role models of anybody you see on TV, because you do not know the agenda. You should make no idols, because the whole American Idol thing is actually satanic symbolism, because the Bible clearly tells you, if you believe in God, because like I've said, our channel is dedicated to those who know the truth. So a lot of people might come on here and get carried away into the transgenders. You're actually watching the wrong channel. If you're here just for the transgenders, you're watching the wrong channel. I decide that you get off, because you're not doing us any favors. This channel is designed specifically for those who seek truth. And it's not just about transgenders. It's about making you understand your world, and understanding the reason for all this deception is about your soul. So if you do not understand that, please get off the channel. If you don't understand that, get off the channel, because a lot of people are going to come on here and get such things as there are transgenders, and get such things as myth of white supremacy, and get such things like we are all black, and get such things like black people all around the world are being degraded because the albino elites are trying so much to remain in power, and for that purpose they have to make black people who are actually superior to feel like they're inferior. You're gonna get all that information. But if that's all what you're getting, you're on the wrong channel, because this is about souls. The whole deception that's happening in this world is trying to harvest your soul. You're going to harvest that soul for God, or you're going to harvest that soul for the devil. Because at the end of the day, the Bible calls us trees. Trees, okay? We are seeds. So if you do not understand that it's about your soul, because all this deception, all the money spent in this world to tell you the lies, to keep on repeating the lies day in and night, and even after generations upon generations have died, the lies are still propagated. The system is still maintained and oiled to tell you lies. If you do not understand that it's not just about the lies, that it's about making you make a choice, a decision on what you should choose or who you should pick, then you're on the wrong channel. It's about souls. So getting back into this is why you can't make any role models of anybody that you see on TV, like the American Idol. The whole American Idol series is geared towards embracing the world, or engrossing the world, or immersing the world in Satanism, a harvest of souls. All right. When you get a book, you get all that information, because we don't have time to explain. We're making these videos way too long, and I do not like, to be honest, I do not like making these videos long. I do not even like making videos at all, but I have to do it because I know that it's a service to humanity, and I took it upon myself amongst with the team that, okay, I'll do the videos, you guys help with other stuff in any way I can, in any way you can, and that's it. So get our book and get all the information you need, because this channel will go down one way or the other. The Vatican is very sneaky, and they will shut us down. They can shut us down through telling you guys stuff like, a virus got into YouTube and closed a lot of channels down, or something like they told you before, like somebody got into YouTube and was starting to shoot the whole administrative building of YouTube down, and destroyed some servers and information, and some of the channels got lost. Stuff like that could happen. That's what they're doing. They will shut us down one way or the other. So get the book, so you always have the truth. All right. So let's get back into the next picture. Kanye West, like I said here, you can't make anybody you see on TV your role model, because they're all lies. They should have told you that Randy Jackson is a mutilated female right here, but they never said that, because they're all being groomed and trained by the Vatican from childhood to be in the position they are. They're not there by their hard work or providence. They've been trained since childhood. So if you're trying to get into TV, music, and all that stuff that's used to influence the world, you should know that truth, so you don't waste your time going for an audition and getting thrown out all the time, because you have not been groomed since childhood by the Vatican to be there. The people in the audition were chosen beforehand, before they even got into the stage. They are not just there by providence. When you get into an audition, what you're going is for a show. You're going for a show, you're going for a make-believe, so that you can believe in the system, because everything is designed to make you believe in the false system, so that you can always pick the side and sell your soul, as they say it, for the devil. Let's go to the next picture. Randy Jackson again, as you can see here, acute Q angle is below the crotch, as you can tell. Wide hips, because Randy Jackson is 100% female. Acute Q angle and hips below the crotch, because she is a mutilated female and not a man in any way, raised from childhood to be in this position that she is, and not there by accident or hard work, or God made it possible. There's no such thing as God in this system. The only God you have that's true in this system is your Bible. Study your Bible. The only truth you have is in your Bible. That's it. And get a book and understand most of it as well perfectly. All right, let's go another video. Sorry, another picture of Randy Jackson. As you can see, what I told you before, as a woman starts spreading from underneath her elbows and start getting wider. And this is what Randy Jackson is doing with a cute angle that's below the crotch, because Randy Jackson is 100% female and not a man in any way. That's why he has always looked funny. You can see that the shoulders are narrower and they are padded because his shoulders stop right here. All this is padding. As you can see, the hips are wider below the crotch because Randy Jackson is 100% female and American Idol. Let's go. So when you people have been watching American Idol, they've actually been watching an idol in Randy Jackson. Maybe that's what the show was all about. And who knows who else is not the gender they claim on that show. We do not know. We don't have time. But if we find out, we'll let you guys know as well. Randy Jackson again, spreading from underneath the elbows with a cute angle below the crotch, because Randy Jackson is 100% female and not a man. Always trying to cover up those feminine hips that she has, because Randy Jackson is 100% female, masquerading as a man. Let's go another picture. And I forgot to show you something else here. Randy Jackson has the short arms that no black male in the world has. You can see how short these arms are, and they terminate at where the hips are at, because that's how in most cases women are shaped. That doesn't mean that a female cannot have longer arms. She can, but in most cases this is how a female's arms are, short, and the palm always ends right where you have the hips. No black male is going to have this ridiculously short arms like Randy Jackson. All black males have ridiculously long arms and limbs, always stretching, always almost down to the knees, and Randy Jackson doesn't have any. All right, let's go another picture. Randy Jackson again, arch in the back with Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell was interested in being the truther that he claims to be on all these shows that he pulls out because he's a stooge of the Vatican. He should have told you, Randy Jackson here is a mutilated female with an arch in the back, because Randy Jackson is 100% female. Arch in the back and a tilted pelvis forward, who would have been a very beautiful woman if they had let her grow, because she has a very nice figure for a female. But here's what the Vatican does. They take young children and babies from a very tender age. That's why they're all in the orphanage homes, so they can have access to those children. That's why they own all the hospitals, all the medical centers around the world, so they can have access to these children and take them from very young ages and turn them into products that they can use to control our world and run reality, because they are sick-minded individuals. I cannot understand how grown-ass men can be sitting in a room night and day plotting evil and telling lies to young children and babies every day. And this is what they're doing. And someone is going to come on this channel and start saying nonsense. I wish they met me in person to know I'm not who they think I am. Alright, Randy Jackson has an arch in the back, so they can tell, you can tell right there that this is a female, 100% woman, and not a man in any way. Here's what we already showed you that picture. I think that's the last picture we have on Randy Jackson, so let's switch gears now over to will.i.am. Here's will.i.am, as you can see here. So this is the reason for will.i.am's eccentric behavior and all the great fashion sense, is because they were trying to cover up the fact that you've been looking at a female all along. So that's why she has this great fashion sense, designers and everything, and everybody will say, wow, will.i.am can really dress up and have that wow factor. It's just a woman. This is what the Vatican does every day. All right? Grown-ass men telling children lies every day and taking young kids to make them look this way so they can rule the world and be happy. That's about it. They should be very proud of themselves. Rule the world, right? That's what it's about. So you can be happy. That's what you were made to do. Lying to children every single day. Here's will.i.am. As you can tell, will.i.am is walking like a woman, because when a woman walks, because of the wide pubic arch and wide pelvis, she's going to try to lean her weight into the feet that's in front of her, because the legs need to do two things to balance out the wide pelvis. It needs to go forward and inwards at the same time to balance the weight. So that's why a woman swings from side to side with her hips when she's walking, because it's all about weight balancing. because of the wide pubic arch that a female has. But you can notice right here, like I said, a female starts spreading from underneath her elbows, which is what will.i.am is doing. And you can tell with even this book or whatsoever suitcase or book padding or a wallet that he's holding, that the placement of that book shows you of how wide the hips are. You can see the hourglass figure. It's so wide out into the body. If this was male, this book wouldn't be sticking out that way and showing you all these curves, because will.i.am is 100% female with an acute Q angle below the crotch. So if you're maybe making a role models of will.i.am, you've been actually looking at the wrong person, or making the wrong decisions about who you think should be a so-called superstar, because will.i.am is not the gender that he claims. will.i.am is 100% female. Show you another picture of will.i.am still doing the same walk that all females do, placing the weight of the body to the leg that's in front of it, because will.i.am is 100% female with an acute Q angle that's below the crotch. And what did I always tell you guys about the black males? Black males have ridiculously long arms that reach almost down to the knees. But here in will.i.am, he has very short arms, and you can tell from here that he's spreading from underneath the elbow into an hourglass figure that females usually have, because will.i.am is 100% female and not a man in any way. Been masquerading around as one for way too long. 100% female, will.i.am. Show you some more pictures, so hang on. Here's will.i.am, and you can see right here, no man can stand in this way. I've never seen a man, I've only seen women stand this way. You can see how acute the Q angle is because the pubic arch is wider, and you can see the hourglass figure of will.i.am all the way down. will.i.am acute Q angle below the crotch, standing like a female because she is one. Would have been a very good looking female. But this is what the Vatican does. Grown-ass men sitting in a room and taking young children just because they think they can rule the world. Use them to rule our world, influence us. Grown-ass men. I wonder what they sit down to do every day when they wake up in the morning and say, oh, we're going to send Ebola to over here. We're going to take this young child and start grooming him to be the next president, or so and so. Look at what grown-ass men can be sitting to do in their rooms, and they are not ashamed of themselves. I would be so ashamed of myself for telling babies lies every day, constructing their reality. But this is what they do. And people go out every day and worship them as gods, our great presidents and the Vatican and the Pope. They're telling you lies every day. Grown-ass men. This is what they do to children. And someone's going to come up here and say that we're telling lies or something. All right. Here's will.i.am. As you can see, hourglass figure standing like a woman does, because will.i.am is 100% female. Here's will.i.am with, I just wanted to show you that all these people on this is actually a show called The Voice in Voice UK. It's a show a lot of people watch. All these people are paid liars. This person's name here, what's her name? Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson, who's always looking like she's always telling you the truth, that she's bossy and everything else. She's actually a paid deceiver and a liar, stooge of the Vatican, trained to be in this position, not by accident. All right? Not by accident anyway. If they were telling you the truth and they love you so much, they should have told you that will.i.am is 100% female, but they never did. All right. Here's the picture that should end it all. I mean, this should end it as clear as night and day, so there are no arguments. As you can see, will.i.am's hands are shaped like a woman, because a woman's arms are going to be shaped into an hourglass figure, following the hourglass figure that females have. And that's how will.i.am's hands are shaped. And it's not long enough. Remember, black male's arms are going to be longer all the way down to the knees, very close to the knees. But here will.i.am's arms are shaped like an hourglass figure. They end where the female hip usually ends, right there. And you see the acute Q angle is below the crotch. Look at that. And he spreads from underneath the elbows like a woman does, because will.i.am is 100% female. Been raised to be in the position that she is by the Vatican, who love taking young children and babies. Alright, so marinate on that picture for a while. All our information is going to be on the screen in case you need the book, because we suggest that you get the book and get to know the truth, so you cannot be deceived in this world any further if you've been deceived since childhood. Because it's harrowing that before any child is born into this world, that someone has been sitting in a room like the Vatican does every day, concocting lies to tell you, paying for the lies, maintaining the lies day in and night. Even when you show them that they're lying, they still go on and create some more lies for you. Get our book so you do not be deceived, so the next generation, if you're going to have kids, will not be deceived. They let them have some semblance of truth in their lives. Get our book. All right, let's go to another picture of will.i.am. As you can see right here, is still spreading. Acute Q angle below the crotch, wide, humongous hips, hourglass figure, spreading from underneath the elbows all the way down. As you can see, and terminates right here. The acute Q angle is below the crotch because will.i.am is 100% female. 100% female of the Black Eyed Peas. All right, let's go another picture of will.i.am. You can still see that spreading from underneath the elbows. Acute Q angle is below the crotch because will.i.am is 100% female, not a man in any way. And that symbolism right there you see with the pyramid turned upside down, because she's representing the Vatican, the current new albino Vatican running our world right now. All right, so that was this was the picture. I didn't show you these pictures. Let me show you these two pictures before anything else. And here's the whole picture that started the transvestigation of will.i.am, for us to look and see if will.i.am was the gender that we never thought that he could be, right? It's not the gender, right? So here's the picture that started the whole thing, because we were going through some pictures and we found this and we're like, this is very weird for how a man should walk, because we could notice that he's leaning the feet, or leaning the weight of the body into the foot that's in front of it, and we notice this acute Q angle and swaying like a female does and spreading from underneath the elbows and having an hourglass figure. We're like, that's a weird picture. And so we started looking, and we looked deeper, and we found out that will.i.am is not the gender that he claims, because she's 100% female. Acute Q angle below the crotch, hourglass figure like a woman, because will.i.am is a woman. Let's go. Another picture on will.i.am again. As you can tell right there, huge, humongous hips, because will.i.am is female, not a man in any way. 100% female, not a man. All right, I think we've come to the end of today's video. If you learned something, subscribe to the channel. Get a book. It's very, very important that you do. Subscribe to the second channel. It's called Tricks of the S-Trade 2. And like we said, send us an email. If you don't get a response in 48 hours, send us a text, and we'll definitely respond quickly through the text, but we'll also respond quickly through the email. We try as much as possible to answer all emails that we get, because we're here to make you understand your world for those who want the truth and the truth only, not for the deluded folks who don't know what they're looking at, who pass the delusions on to everybody else because they know everything else but the truth. And with that, we leave you with these words: look with your eyes, but see with your brain. And we'll catch up with you guys later. Okay, talk to you soon.